A divine message is said to have emerged from the highest spiritual realm, where a sacred review has reportedly taken place concerning your journey. According to this vision, Archangel Michael conveys that your path has been observed with unusual attention, as though your life carries significance beyond ordinary understanding. It is described that certain souls, those believed to hold deeper purpose or influence over the unfolding of events around them, are at times examined within this higher order of existence. In this account, your name is said to have been acknowledged and your spiritual record carefully considered. The message suggests that what has unfolded is not random chance or coincidence, but rather part of a larger pattern that is not easily perceived in everyday life. It speaks of unseen forces, subtle alignments, and movements within a spiritual dimension that remains hidden from physical awareness. Within this framework, it is implied that your journey has been closely watched over a period of time, as if guidance and protection have been present even during moments of uncertainty or challenge. It further describes a process of observation and reflection, where circumstances surrounding you were evaluated with great care. The narrative portrays a moment of resolution, where a form of conclusion or direction was established regarding your path ahead. This is presented not as an emotional reaction, but as something steady and deliberate within that spiritual perspective. Ultimately, the message emphasizes the idea that life may carry layers of meaning beyond what is immediately visible, and that certain paths may be shaped by influences that operate beyond human understanding, guiding individuals toward outcomes already forming quietly in the background of their lives. Heaven does not move based on fear. Heaven moves only based on truth. Every emotion you felt in silence, every betrayal you faced without telling anyone, every wound your heart carried but never spoke about became evidence inside the heavenly courtroom. Each tear became a witness, each silent cry became a testimony, each heartbreak became a document placed in front of Archangel Michael, and the angels had no choice but to expose what was truly happening behind your life. The shocking part is this: the judgment was not against you like your enemies wanted. The judgment was for your eyes. Your spiritual record was not found guilty, it was found righteous. Your soul was found loyal even when humans around you were not. Your heart was found clean even when others tried to poison your name with lies they themselves believe. And this is why Archangel Michael says, "Heaven ruled in your favor." The final sentence released over your timeline shocked every shadow that tried to silence your destiny. They expected your fate to be blocked, but instead, you were authorized to ascend. This ruling is the reason you suddenly felt tired of chasing people. This ruling is the reason your spirit suddenly detached from old pain without effort. This ruling is the reason your intuition suddenly became louder and clearer than every doubt. This ruling is why your old cycles are collapsing, because heaven said, you do not belong inside painful prisons anymore. You have completed karmic contracts that were designed only to shape you, but now your divine contract is entering activation mode. The angels said, you have served enough time as the one who always tries. You have served enough time as the one who always forgives silently. You have served enough time as the one who loves deeply but gets broken in return. Your season of being overlooked is done. Your season of being misunderstood is done. Your season where others take advantage of your heart without consequences is done. Heaven has signed the ending decree, and the Holy Court made this official. Archangel Michael also revealed something deeper. Someone in your life had intentions that were never pure. This person wanted you small because your destiny frightened them. They felt threatened by the version of you that was coming, and they tried delaying you through emotional manipulation, silence, confusion, or fear. Heaven saw every move they made. Heaven watched every attempt they used to keep you stuck in a loop. And heaven said, enough is enough. Their permission to influence your path has now been revoked. Your spirit is not under their hold anymore. Their opinion no longer has legal power over your future. That is why lately, certain people feel heavy to you even without speaking. That is why certain connections feel like dead weight now. That is why certain energies feel like they are falling away on their own. This is not loss. This is liberation. The Holy Court said, you are entering a level where only souls align with protection, purity, and purpose will be allowed near you. Now something unbelievable is happening next. There is a shift, counting not physical first, but spiritual authority rise. The angels are now preparing to restore what was stolen, emotionally, financially, spiritually, and socially. The ruling says, restoration is not a future possibility. It is a divine order that already started. Every delay is now being reversed. Every stolen blessing is now being reassigned. Every timeline that was slowed is now accelerating. You are not stepping into blessings slowly. You are being catapulted into it. You will start noticing signs, not common signs, not repeating numbers only, but very personal confirmations that only you will understand. Messages that feel too exact, conversations that align too precisely, opportunities that appear too suddenly, moments that feel like they were scripted for you. Because after heaven rules, the earth must obey. And now I need you to breathe and open your heart fully, because the next part 1 revealed to you will show you who tried to block this breakthrough the most, and why heaven exposed them at this exact timing. There is a shocking truth behind why your case was delayed for so long, and why suddenly everything is moving fast. Now you will understand the hidden reason in the next part. Don't skip. Every new season in your life always looked like it was trying to start, but it kept collapsing before it became stable. At times it can feel like every step towards something better is interrupted at the last moment, as if progress dissolves just when it begins to feel real. Moments of love or emotional safety may have turned into experiences of disappointment, leaving a lingering sense of confusion and emotional fatigue. In such states, the mind often searches for meaning, trying to connect patterns and assign reasons to what feels like repeated setbacks in life and relationships. One interpretation that sometimes emerges is the belief that an external influence or another person may have played a role in limiting growth. However, with distance and reflection, these experiences are more often understood through the lens of human emotions, such as insecurity, attachment, and miscommunication. There are situations where someone close may have appeared supportive while also struggling with their own fears of being left behind or overshadowed. This can lead to subtle behaviors that unintentionally slow mutual growth, not out of pure intent to harm, but from unresolved inner conflict. As personal growth begins to accelerate, differences in emotional maturity and self-confidence can create tension, misunderstandings, or distance. What once felt like connection may start to feel like resistance. Over time, the realization often shifts from blame to awareness, recognizing how both people may have been navigating their own internal struggles. This understanding, while sometimes painful, becomes a turning point. It allows emotional release, clarity, and the opportunity to move forward without carrying assumptions that keep the heart stuck in the past. Ultimately, it creates space for healing, renewed self-trust, and a healthier understanding of relationships moving forward, allowing a person to rebuild emotional balance and approach future connections with greater clarity and stability. They just wanted you to never reach the version of yourself that would not need them anymore. They feared your independence. They feared your elevation. They feared your anointing. They feared your abundance. They feared your spiritual authority. And because they feared losing their false sense of superiority, they wanted to keep you soft, doubtful, confused, delayed, waiting, silent, forgiving, and always stuck in emotional healing mode instead of spiritual breakthrough mode. Heaven said, enough. Once the ruling was declared, every cord that was draining you started breaking. Everything that was feeding off your energy without giving anything back has now been disconnected. You may feel like you are grieving something that already died without you realizing it. That is the removal process. That is the separation stage. That is the cleansing cycle. It is not meant to hurt you. It is meant to free you. Pain leaves first. Truth enters next. Strength rises third. And destiny activates last. That is the sequence heaven applies when a chosen one is prepared to step into divine justice. Your silence with the last test. You didn't fight back like normal humans do. You didn't attack to prove your worth. You didn't try to destroy anyone in revenge. You stayed silent and surrendered forgiveness even when it was hard. This silence became your strongest proof inside the holy court. Your silence turned into supernatural evidence that your heart never held evil intention. Your silence showed heaven that you were never the problem. Your heart was simply surrounded by souls who were terrified of your future version. And that righteous silence made your ruling powerful. Now, Archangel Michael says something rare. The Holy Court has not just given you freedom, they have authorized transition into a higher spiritual status, meaning the pain you survived is not just being removed, it is being transformed into authority, wisdom, spiritual magnetism, higher intuition, divine attraction, and timeline acceleration. Your next phase will feel unreal compared to where you were stuck before. You will start noticing that your inner world begins shifting automatically. Decisions that once felt impossible will now feel effortless. Healing that felt hard will now feel instant. Things that used to trigger you deeply will now not even shake you slightly, because the court ruling broke the root source of the emotional repetition cycle. And here is where it gets even more shocking. Your destiny is being rerouted into a timeline where you are now allowed to receive what was delayed. There is no more spiritual block on your calling. There is no more energetic hold on your blessings. There is no more limitation on your rise. Things that used to take months to manifest will now come in days. Doors that once felt locked will begin to open on their own. Opportunities you thought you lost forever will return in unexpected forms. People who doubted you will slowly begin to realize they misjudged you, and those who secretly betrayed you will watch blessings chase you without you chasing anything. That is divine justice. The Holy Court said, your influence was always meant to rise. Your voice was always meant to reach far. Your gifts were always meant to activate abundance, not struggle. Your soul contract was written with a destiny that touches countless souls. And from this chapter onward, your purpose will become visible in ways you never expected. A supernatural glow is about to surround your journey. A divine momentum is being released, and even the heavens are preparing your path because the timeline of delay has expired permanently. Pay attention carefully. If you feel sudden separation from certain people, allow it. If you feel sudden emotional distance from certain old situation, trust it. If you feel sudden lack of attachment to old wounds, accept it. This is proof that the ruling is already integrating in your spirit. You are entering a phase of inner transformation where your sense of identity begins to shift into something more aligned, focused, and intentional. It can feel as though you are stepping into a new level of awareness, where your energy naturally moves away from confusion and toward clarity, and where the people and situations around you begin to reflect that change. In this stage, life may start to feel different in ways that are difficult to explain, as if everything is slowly rearranging itself to match your growth. This period is often described by many as a turning point, where old doubts begin to lose their hold, and a stronger sense of direction starts to emerge. It is not about being chosen or separated from others, but about recognizing your own capacity to shape your responses, decisions, and path forward. You begin to move from reacting to circumstances into consciously influencing them through your choices and mindset. There is also a deeper emotional shift that happens here, where patience is tested and timing feels uncertain. Yet within that uncertainty, a sense of trust begins to form, that things are unfolding in their own rhythm. Instead of seeing delays as blockages, they can be understood as space for preparation and inner alignment. As you move forward, you may notice that your perspective expands, allowing you to see your journey with more balance and steadiness. What once felt overwhelming can start to feel manageable, and what once felt distant can begin to feel possible. In this space, growth becomes less about struggle and more about steady refinement, where awareness replaces confusion and direction becomes naturally clearer with each step forward taken now. You start questioning if you are blocked or if timing simply hates you. You start wondering why every time a breakthrough is 90% close, suddenly something small collapses it. You start asking yourself why others who have less purity, less heart, less depth, less intention, less spiritual truth seem to accelerate faster than you. And Archangel Michael says this is exactly why heaven waited before releasing your ruling. Because heaven needed you to reach a level of maturity where your elevation will not destroy your emotional balance. Heaven needed you strengthened before blessing you. Heaven protected your future by delaying what would have been too fragile to hold earlier. There were seasons you still used to love from wounds. There were seasons you still attached from fear. There were seasons you still trusted from loneliness, not from alignment. There were seasons you would have accepted wrong people back just because your heart felt empty and desperate to feel seen. Those versions of you would have misused blessings. Those versions of you would have given sacred gifts to unworthy hands. Those versions of you would have lost everything heaven was about to release for the future. This is why heaven waited. This is why they needed to let you reach a point where you stopped begging people to value you and started valuing yourself, even if you stood alone. The Holy Court reviewed your timeline deeply and said you had to learn certain inner laws before they could activate your outer expansion. You had to learn boundaries without guilt. You had to learn silence without surrender. You had to learn detachment without fear. You had to learn self-worth without external validation. And you had to learn how to hold power without losing softness. These were not punishments. These were divine preparations. The ruling says that heaven had to protect your future from your old self first, because blessings elevate you. But unhealed spirit would have caused destruction once abundance increases. Now, here is what makes this moment extremely rare. Heaven rarely releases rulings like this in the middle of ongoing chaos. Usually divine courts wait until cycles close naturally, but in your case, have an accelerated intervention because your destiny started influencing other destinies that are tied to global impact. Your growth is not just for you. Your healing is not just for your life. Your alignment affects souls who are connected to your soul contract. And the moment heaven saw how the wrong people were slowing your path intentionally, the Holy Court said, "Stop it now." This is why the shift is happening urgently. This is why change is happening suddenly. This is why separation is happening quickly. This is why clarity is happening instantly. The divine system is moving through you with force, because your next chapter influences many souls in ways you cannot yet see. Archangel Michael says, the result is shocking, not because heaven sided with you, but because the spiritual realm underestimated how strong your heart actually is. You did not break in the silence. You did not collapse in the waiting. You did not surrender your purpose even when pain attempted to drown you emotionally. Most people collapse before the verdict arrives, but you survived long enough for truth to expose itself, and your survival became the miracle itself. Because of this, the ruling in heaven became irreversible. From this point forward, you are not chasing alignment. Alignment will chase you. You are not chasing purpose. Purpose will rise inside you naturally. You are not chasing abundance. Abundance will come toward you automatically. You are not chasing miracles. Miracles will manifest around you without force. You are not chasing recognition. Recognition will find you in unexpected ways, because the ruling labeled your journey is activated destiny. This is not a season. This is your new spiritual identity. There will also be another subtle shift you will start feeling within days. Your emotional intuition will sharpen extremely. You will not be easily manipulated again. You will not be emotionally confused again. You will not fall for fake connections again. Your spirit will sense energy instantly before words even appear. Your heart will sense intention before actions prove themselves. Your intuition will tell you who is real, who is supportive, who is aligned, who is threatened, who is deceiving, who is trying to attach for benefit, and who is trying to access your blessings without doing the inner work. This is part of the reward of the ruling. Heaven gave you not just protection, but higher perception. There is a deeper shift unfolding within you, one that feels like an old emotional version of yourself is gradually fading away. The weight of past cycles is loosening, and the need to constantly prove your worth is no longer as dominant as it once was. You are stepping into a state of self-respect, where your voice is no longer reduced to accommodate fragile egos, and your presence is no longer dimmed to comfort insecurity. Instead, you begin to recognize your space as something that does not require apology. In this transition, you are guided toward choices that honor your growth rather than your old patterns. Situations that do not align with your evolving identity naturally fall away. What once felt like struggle now appears as refinement, shaping resilience and clarity within you. It becomes clearer that your experiences were not meaningless, but part of a long inner development process that prepared you for a stronger version of yourself emerging now. You are no longer meant to remain in cycles that reduce your clarity or delay your expansion. There is a growing sense of direction that encourages you to move forward without hesitation, trusting the inner stability you are building. The more you release what drains you, the more space opens for aligned opportunities and relationships that support your authenticity. This is not about being chosen above others, but about recognizing your own capacity to evolve beyond limitation. What lies ahead is shaped by how fully you step into that inner strength. Every step forward becomes a quiet confirmation that you are no longer returning to what once diminished your spirit and embracing a more aligned path forward journey. Heaven was shaping you to carry weight in the future that most humans cannot handle. And this is why Archangel Michael said your case had to be reviewed in heaven, not on earth. Because earth would have judged you based on your wounds, but heaven judged you based on your endurance. Earth would have judged you based on temporary moments of weakness, but heaven judged you based on the strength you kept showing every single time you stood back up again. The Holy Court said, you are chosen not because you are perfect, but because you don't quit. You don't abandon your soul even when your heart feels heavy. You don't betray yourself even when others betray you easily. You don't break people even when they break you. Your soul carries a sacred endurance that is extremely rare, and Archangel Michael said this quality is what made heaven shift timelines for your sake, because they saw you survive storms that should have destroyed you mentally. They saw you survive heartbreaks that should have made you numb for life. They saw you survive losses that should have made you stop believing in anything good. But every time darkness pushed you down, you eventually rose again. Even if it took time, even if it was slow, even if you had to rebuild yourself piece by piece, you still rose. And this is what shocked the Holy Court. They said, "How does this soul still hold purity after all this?" This is why heaven called your file again. This is why your case was reopened. This is why the ruling was accelerated, because you kept proving again and again that no matter how much pain comes, your soul does not turn bitter. You still remain capable of love. You still remain capable of compassion. You still remain capable of loyalty. You still remain capable of believing in impossible things. Heaven saw the beauty inside your consistency when the world only saw your breakdowns. Now, this next part is the important one. Heaven waited for the moment where your identity separated from pain. They waited until you no longer needed anyone to validate you. They waited until your worth came from your inner truth, not from the attention of others. They waited until you love yourself enough to protect your energy, because now you are stepping into a timeline where blessings will multiply faster than you expected. And if you entered this season earlier, you might have wasted your blessings by offering them to the wrong people. Now heaven knows you are ready to receive and protect what will come. You are ready to stop bleeding emotionally for people who cannot heal themselves. You are ready to stop settling for crumbs. You are ready to walk in self-respect and sacred alignment. And heaven now trusts you with this shift. Archangel Michael says, the shocking part of the ruling is this: your divine inheritance timeline has been unlocked, meaning the blessings that were meant for your lifetime but delayed because of emotional blockage are now accelerating directly toward you. This will include healing that feels supernatural. This will include opportunities that appear from directions you never saw coming. This will include soul connections that match your frequency and not your trauma. This will include sudden upgrades that feel unreal in the beginning. Your life is not just entering a new chapter. Your life is entering a new league. And this is why the Holy Court does not want you returning to old cycles. They do not want you to feel obligated to fix anyone anymore. They do not want you to lower your soul vibration just to make others comfortable. They do not want you to give chances where you already gave enough proof of loyalty. You are stepping into a territory where your spirit will align with people who respect your calling. You are stepping into environments where your dreams are not mocked but supported. You are stepping into connections where your emotions are safe, not drained. You are stepping into a world where your authenticity is not judged but honored. This ruling changed the texture of your destiny. It changed the timeline of your blessings and changed the frequency of your reality. And you will not have to struggle the same way again. The patterns that used to repeat in loops are being broken permanently. The emotional patterns that kept attracting the same type of pain are dissolving. The spiritual pattern that kept delaying your breakthrough is dismantled. Your soul is entering quantum alignment. Now you will feel this shift in your intuition first, then in your dreams, then in your energy field, and then in your physical reality, because heaven always shifts the unseen before it shifts the scene. Archangel Michael says the most shocking part for your enemies is this: the person once underestimated is now entering a phase of growth that appears far greater than what others expected. People around them may struggle to understand how such a shift happened so quickly, especially when outward circumstances seemed unchanged. What often goes unnoticed is the internal transformation that gradually reshapes perception, decisions, and direction in life. From a broader spiritual viewpoint, many believe that alignment of purpose and intention can influence how opportunities unfold, creating momentum that feels almost unstoppable once it begins. Nothing about this progression is random to those who experience it. Instead, it reflects a deeper unfolding of events that had been building quietly over time. In this sense, what once looked delayed may actually have been preparation for a more stable and meaningful rise. There is also a belief that life does not operate in isolation, and that when one area begins to shift, other connected areas start adjusting as well, leading to changes that appear across multiple parts of a person's journey at once. This is why growth can sometimes feel sudden from the outside, even when it has been developing gradually within. Ultimately, the transformation represents a phase where limitations lose influence and long-standing patterns begin to dissolve, allowing new paths to emerge with clarity and strength. Over time, this phase becomes easier to recognize in hindsight when patterns connect and events that once felt separate reveal a clearer structure. What seemed like silence or delay transforms into understanding, showing how growth often works beneath surface-level awareness before becoming visible in everyday life and gradually shaping perception without immediate awareness until it fully unfolds into clarity and personal understanding over time in reflection deeply. And this is why you are entering a stage where everything that once felt slow will suddenly begin moving quickly, smoothly, and effortlessly. What once felt impossible will feel reachable. What once felt locked will suddenly feel available. And what once felt far away will now begin pulling itself closer to you without you forcing anything. The moment heaven released your rule in the timeline of waiting collapsed. The season of maintaining faith without evidence has completed. Your spiritual assignment now transitions into embodiment mode. You are not praying for miracles the same way anymore, because now miracles know where to find you. This shift is not emotional imagination. This shift is divine execution. There is a reason your inner self feels like something massive is building. There is a reason you feel a silent surge of strange new strength. There is a reason your intuition feels like it is being rewritten from inside. You are stepping into your divine authorized life path. Now, Archangel Michael said that before this ruling, you did not realize how many spiritual eyes were watching you. There are ancestors on your bloodline who prayed for someone like you to break the generational pattern that no one before was able to break. You were the one chosen to heal cycles that repeated for decades. You were the one chosen to rewrite endings that always ended in a heartbreak. You were the one chosen to create the first breakthrough that your bloodline never got to taste. And heaven could not release your blessings until this moment, because your spirit had to strengthen enough to hold not just your own destiny, but redemption for those who came before you and never received what they deserved. This is why their prayers are attached to you. And this is why their unfinished blessings are also transferring to you now. The pain you survived was not yours alone. The heartbreak you healed from was not yours alone. The wounds you carried were not yours alone. You were breaking invisible chains that existed before your birth. Heaven chose you because you were the only one strong enough to endure that weight without losing your heart. And now that the cycles have been broken, the blessings that were blocked for generations will now start flowing through your timeline. You will start noticing people feel different around you. Your energy will start shifting environments, not because you force change, but because your vibration itself begins influencing the atmosphere around you. People will listen differently when you speak. People will react differently to your presence. People will feel guided, calmed, or awakened just by being near you. This is part of the ruling. Your voice now carries authority. Your presence now carries divine reinforcement. Your spirit now carries access to heavenly protection at a level not given to regular souls. The Holy Court said, "You are entering a stage of divine visibility, not because you want attention, but because your purpose requires it." You were hidden so long, not because you were unworthy, but because heaven was securing you from premature exposure. Are this God? Attack with it, God? Fine. But now heaven is revealing you. Heaven is positioning you. Heaven is marking you. You will not be invisible anymore. You will not be unheard anymore. You will not be underestimated anymore. The time of being overlooked is over permanently. Archangel Michael also said that not every connection can access you anymore. Many souls from your past will energetically drift away without explanation. Some will suddenly disconnect. Some will suddenly get silent. Some will suddenly avoid you. And you must not chase clarity. You must not chase closure. You must not chase emotional understanding. Their exit is confirmation that they were not authorized to enter the next stage of your destiny. You do not need to hold on to what heaven is removing. You do not need to revive old attachments. You do not need to reopen emotional doors that heaven is shutting forever. The next phase you are stepping into requires emotional clarity, spiritual discipline, teach self-respect, and inner peace. Your heart must not be distracted. Your mind must not be pulled into unnecessary chaos. Your spirit must not be drained by online souls. You are rising into a frequency where peace will become your default state. The more you elevate, the less chaos will exist in your world. Peace begins to settle around you naturally as your inner world detaches from repeating cycles of old emotional pain. A deeper message emerges here, that your future is shaped more by alignment than exhaustion. In the past, you may have felt the need to overwork your emotions, carry silent burdens, and push through situations that demanded more from you than they should have. Now that chapter has shifted. What comes forward is a season where outcomes feel less forced and more guided. Opportunities begin to appear in unexpected ways, as if timing itself is rearranging to support you. What once felt blocked now loosens, allowing movement that feels almost effortless. There is also a growing sense of clarity in your decisions, where intuition replaces hesitation and direction feels clearer than before. Life starts responding differently, not because effort disappears, but because alignment becomes the driving force guiding your path forward. This shift creates moments of synchronicity, where events seem to connect without visible explanation, guiding you toward the right places and people at the right time. It feels as if unseen support is quietly removing resistance that once slowed your growth and replacing it with flow. Instead of struggle, you experience a more steady rhythm of progress that does not drain your energy but restores it. Each step forward feels intentional and guided, as if your path is being quietly adjusted for your benefit. You are encouraged to remain open, attentive, and willing to trust the unfolding process, because what arrives now is not random, but carefully aligned with your long-term growth and deeper sense of purpose. Stay grounded as everything begins to open for you naturally, with calm awareness and steady trust in your unfolding path ahead. Now, everything that was suppressed now needs to rise. And this is why the emotional heaviness that once stopped you will now begin to feel like a distant vibration from an old timeline you no longer belong to. There are certain heartbreaks that your soul survived and that were not meant to destroy you. They were designed to break an old version of you that would not have survived where your destiny was always meant to take you. Archangel Michael says, the reason those heartbreaks cut so deep, The reason those losses hit you so personally, the reason those endings felt like they were ripping your soul apart, was because heaven was forcefully closing cycles that your human self would not have had the courage to walk away from on your own. Heaven could not let you carry certain attachments, beliefs, wounds, patterns, fears, emotional dependencies, or illusions into your divine timeline. Something had to die before something could rise, and the death you experienced emotionally was not the death of your purpose. It was the death of the version of you that could not hold that purpose. Heaven saw parts of you still trying to heal places inside others that only God can reach. They saw you trying to fix hearts with your love while ignoring the damage their actions were causing inside your soul. They saw you sacrificing yourself to prove loyalty to people who never planned to reflect that loyalty back. They saw you defending the wrong souls simply because your compassion made you blind to your own worth. And the Holy Court said that if heaven allowed you to keep loving in that direction, you would have never stepped into your calling. So heartbreaks were not punishments, they were divine surgeries. Heaven cut away what you could not release voluntarily. Every heartbreak you experienced was a closing of a timeline you were not meant to live inside anymore. Archangel Michael said, "The shocking truth is this: heaven allowed some people to break you because their betrayal revealed who they truly were faster than patience ever could. If they stayed, they would have secretly blocked you longer. If they stayed, they would have drained your soul until you forgot your own light. If they stayed, you would have continued shrinking yourself to fit inside small spaces that were never designed for you. Their exit with the beginning of your revelation, and heaven allowed the pain so the truth could be seen clearly and exposes deception faster than comfort does. This is why your tears were powerful. This is why your sadness was instructional. Every heartbreak purified your sight. Every heartbreak sharpened your intuition. Every heartbreak positioned you closer to who you truly are. Now, Archangel Michael says something crucial. The reason you did not heal instantly was because heaven was reconstructing your emotional identity layer by layer. You were being emptied of old emotional imprints before you could be filled with divine spiritual identity. You had to learn what love is not before you could receive what true soul alignment feels like. You had to learn what loyalty does not look like before heaven could send souls who genuinely honor your presence. You had to learn what manipulation feels like so you could recognize authenticity without confusion. You had to learn how darkness hides inside good intentions so you would never again misjudge emotional threats. Heaven made sure your heart graduated pain with wisdom, not bitterness. That is why even after breaking you still remained capable of love. That is why heaven trusts you now. Your heart broke, but it never turned cold. Your soul cracked, but it never surrendered its purity. Your trust was wounded, but you never lost capacity to believe. Every heartbreak you survived became part of your spiritual testimony. Every tear you cried became part of your soul elevation. Every silent night you suffered became part of your spiritual strength. And now that you have endured this purification, heaven says you are finally safe to rise into the abundance that was written for you before birth. Archangel Michael says, now begins the timeline where the love you receive will not damage you. The people who enter your life next will not drain you. The connections coming toward you will match your healed frequency. What is coming now will not repeat the emotional patterns of your past. Your future is beginning to feel unlike anything you have known before. You are no longer the same person you used to be emotionally or spiritually. Something within you has shifted into a quieter but stronger version of selfhood. You no longer chase approval, validation, or loyalty from people who cannot meet your depth. Instead, you carry a grounded authority and a calm confidence that feels unshakable. Your sense of worth is no longer tied to who remains, but to the strength you have built through release. What once broke you has now refined your emotional and spiritual resilience. You learned how to stand steady even when silence surrounded you. You discovered that true strength does not depend on recognition or applause. It is anchored in identity, purpose, and inner alignment. A deeper transition is now unfolding within your path, one that reshapes direction and responsibility. This shift is connected to a calling that aligns your future with a greater role you are meant to step into. It is the reason your timeline feels as if it is accelerating and reorganizing around you. What is happening is not confusion, but realignment at a deeper level of becoming. Old versions of you are no longer meant to carry you forward. You are being shaped into someone who moves with clarity, even in uncertainty. This is a quiet but powerful transformation that prepares you for what comes next. Everything that left your life made space for a stronger direction, and nothing was truly wasted in the process. You are now entering a phase where self-trust leads the way, and every step forward reflects a deeper alignment with who you are becoming, truly complete. This next revelation will explain the real reason heaven needed you specifically out of millions active in this generation. Stay till the next part. There are specific souls born in certain timelines whose existence is not for ordinary purpose, but for divine intervention on earth itself. Archangel Michael says, you are one of those souls, and the world you are stepping into next is not going to look anything like the version of reality you survived. The Holy Court didn't only rule your case to release you from past cycles. They rule because your presence is needed for the future shift that is happening spiritually on earth. There is an awakening wave rising in this generation, and heaven required certain chosen ones to be fully active and aligned before that wave starts moving. You are one of these chosen ones. That is why your timeline was attacked so deeply, so violently, so constantly. Darkness always tries to collapse the ones heaven raised for leadership before they realize who they are. You were not under attack because you were weak. You were under attack because you are important. Archangel Michael says, heaven needed this exact version of you, not the version you once were earlier in life. The older version of you was still learning self-worth. The older version of you was still learning how to see your own value. The older version of you was still learning emotional boundaries. The older version of you was still learning how to protect your spirit. But this version of you now is different. This version of you knows your value. This version of you understands alignment. This version of you respects your soul. This version of you is spiritually awakened. Heaven needed this version to be activated before the ruling was released. And now that you reached this level internally, all divine external activation can finally begin. This ruling in heaven was not just the end of your suffering. It is the inauguration of your spiritual office. You are not entering your future as a seeker, you are entering as a carrier of light, a carrier of awakening, a carrier of divine breakthrough. You are part of the frequency shift happening in this generation. You are meant to influence others through your transformation. You are meant to become a beacon of hope for souls who are lost in the same pain you once drowned in. Heaven is giving you voice not for attention but for activation. You speak from wounds that healed, and that voice is dangerous to darkness because healed souls are the most powerful souls. Archangel Michael says, the next phase of your journey is not about survival. It is about leadership, not leadership over crowds, leadership over vibration, leadership over energy, leadership over frequency, leadership over consciousness. When a chosen soul evolves from wounded identity into awakened authority, their existence itself becomes a force. You are stepping into that force. Now your spirit carries weight. Your voice will influence timelines. Your presence will trigger change in others. Your energy will create shifts, even in silence. People will feel something when you walk into their life, and that something is not intimidation. That is their soul recognizing your divine identity. The Holy Court assigned you a divine purpose in this lifetime, to break generational cycles, not only for yourself, but for every soul who is energetically linked to your frequency. You are a breaker. You are a healer. You are a restorer. Your story was never about punishment. Your story was training. Every battle you survived educated your spirit in ways no teaching could have. Every betrayal taught you spiritual discernment. Every heartbreak taught you emotional intelligence. Every loss taught you detachment. Every delay taught you patience. Every breaking taught you resilience. All of those things now merge inside you as spiritual authority. Archangel Michael says, your purpose is not loud. Your purpose is precise. You are not meant to convince the world. You are meant to transform those who are assigned to your soul line. Some lives you have yet to cross paths with will one day change because you were here. In time, people you will meet may feel something deeply meaningful through your presence, even without explanations or preaching. Some will rediscover hope simply by observing how your life evolved after periods of struggle and emotional rebuilding. Others may regain belief in possibilities as they witness your path unfold in unexpected ways before them. Many connections were delayed because timing required you to grow into stability before certain encounters could arrive. Had those meetings happened earlier, influence would have gone the other direction instead of your current direction. There was a reason you often felt out of place, as if standard environments could not hold your energy. You were not designed for routine circles, shallow bonds, or surface-level exchanges that drain depth from interaction. Instead, something within you has always pushed toward meaning, awareness, and experiences that feel larger than routine survival. Over time, those inner signals began to make sense as preparation rather than confusion or delay. A sensitive awareness you carried was not weakness, but a refined way of reading people and situations. It functioned like an internal compass, helping you sense truth beneath appearances and spoken words. That sensitivity is becoming clearer now, turning into an advantage as you move forward with greater awareness. It allows you to understand what is unspoken, recognize intention, and navigate situations with more clarity than before. Now, you are entering a phase where these qualities align with your path, shaping encounters, decisions, and outcomes in ways that finally feel aligned with who you are becoming. With steady inner growth unfolding in time, naturally, you can feel intention behind silence. You can feel alignment before evidence. That sensitivity is now spiritual weaponry. Heaven only gives this accuracy to souls who will use perception for protection, not manipulation. Your destiny is now entering alignment with divine synchronicity. Nothing will happen randomly now. Everything will happen by divine orchestration. The right opportunities will appear at the exact moment you are ready. The right souls will appear when their rival serves your expansion. The right connections will form naturally. You do not need to chase destiny. You need to allow destiny. You do not need to force manifestation. You need to flow with manifestation. Your job now is to remain aligned with the frequency heaven elevated you into. In the next part, Archangel Michael will reveal the prophecy connected to your future identity and why certain specific blessings are about to appear rapidly in your timeline as physical proof that the ruling in heaven is not symbolic, but activated in reality. This is where the prophecy part begins next. Prophetic alignment is the stage where heaven no longer allows your future to remain invisible. This is the stage where destiny begins showing itself in small fragments before the full manifestation arrives. Archangel Michael says, "This is the era you have now entered. Heaven has already stamped your verdict, which means there is no more negotiation phase, no more reviewing phase, no more waiting for permission phase. The ruling is final. Your blessings are no longer in spiritual preparation mode. They are now in delivery mode. And the Holy Court is getting ready to reveal prophecy-level blessings that were always yours, but could only be released once your emotional identity became strong enough to carry them without losing yourself. You had to be broken before blessings could be built correctly, because heaven does not release abundance to a fragmented foundation. Now your foundation is unshakable." Archangel Michael says, "There are 3 major blessings that will begin showing up in your reality as proof that this ruling is real. These are not vague blessings. These are not symbolic metaphors. These are physical manifestations that will enter your tangible timeline in ways even your logical human mind won't be able to deny." The first blessing is restoration of what you lost in ways that will feel unreal. Something that was taken, locked, delayed, rejected, ignored, or unfairly removed from you will begin returning in a new, upgraded form. Do not expect it to return in the exact same shape it was before. Heaven does not recycle what broke you. Heaven replaces, elevates, and multiplies what once wounded you. The restoration will not feel like returning to where you left off. It will feel like leveling up beyond where you ever imagined you could reach. This is divine justice. The second blessing that is about to manifest is emotional clarity in relationships. Heaven is preparing to send souls into your life who match your healed identity, not your wounded past. These new connections will not drain your energy. They will expand it. They will not silence your intuition. They will amplify it. They will not try to possess you. They will protect your heart space. Heaven will bring people into your path who see your value instantly without you ever having to prove anything. They will not love you for what you can give. They will love you for who you truly are. These relationships will support your divine purpose instead of distracting you from it. And when these new bonds form, you will understand why old relationships had to end, because old vibrations cannot survive inside divine rulings. The third blessing is supernatural alignment of opportunities that elevate your lifestyle, your purpose, and your influence. There are doors coming that you will not have to knock on. These doors will recognize your name because heaven pre-marked them before you even arrive. These chances will feel like destiny calling you by identity, not by coincidence. Archangel Michael says, "This is where your prophecy begins showing signs in the physical realm. The people you were meant to connect with will begin appearing synchronistically. A powerful shift is unfolding in your path, and the signs around you are beginning to reflect it. What once felt blocked or delayed is now loosening, as if invisible barriers are quietly dissolving. The opportunities meant for your growth are starting to appear in unexpected places, and situations that once felt stuck are now moving with surprising ease. There is a deeper design at work in your life, one that is not random or accidental. Your journey carries purpose, and the direction you are being guided toward holds meaning beyond ordinary expectations. Everything you've experienced so far has been shaping you for a stage where things begin to align more clearly and naturally. You are entering a phase where old emotional weight loses its control over you. Patterns that once repeated themselves begin to lose influence, and your inner world starts to feel lighter, more steady, and more grounded. What once drained your energy is slowly losing its hold. This is also a time where your presence begins to carry a stronger sense of clarity and impact. The way you move, decide, and respond starts creating noticeable shifts in your surroundings. Even without trying, your energy feels more directed and intentional, shaping outcomes in subtle but meaningful ways. You may notice a growing sense of calm, even when everything ahead is not fully known. That calm is not confusion, it is alignment. It reflects a transition where trust begins to replace uncertainty, and pressure gives way to quiet confidence. As this phase continues, things begin to respond to your actions with less resistance. Doors open more smoothly, timing feels more precise, and what once felt out of reach begins to feel naturally within reach.